What are some things to be aware of when trying to stay safe this summer?
So, with all the summer activities that take place, the first thing would be to be up to date on your vaccination. So, tetanus shots, updated if they're not. Pertussis is also another one that needs to be obtained if you're not up to date on those vaccinations. Also, with camping and hiking, protect yourself from the sun. Use sunscreen SPF 15 or greater. Wear wide brimmed hats if you're going to be performing any activities out in the sunlight. Protect yourself from insects and bugs by using a bug spray containing DEET. Also, make sure if you're out in the woods camping, you are using water that is clean and safe to drink. If cooking out in the open, make sure the meats are pre-packaged, wash hands at all times, use hand sanitizer, just to keep healthy and safe. If performing any kind of swimming, you want to make sure you know how to swim, first of all, and you're staying away from any alcoholic products. And learning CPR would also be a good skill to have when performing any kind of water activities.
What kind of sunscreen do you recommend?
SPF 15 or greater. And any brand is fine. Just make sure if there's no expiration date on the sunscreen that it's not more than 3 years old, because usually if it's over 3 years old, it begins to lose its efficacy.
All right.
How much SPF should I be wearing?
So you should obtain a sunscreen that has SPF 15 or greater, and these are the recommendations per the Center for Disease Control. Also, in terms of applying the sunscreen, make sure all exposed skin surfaces are covered, and if you go swimming, you want to reapply the sunscreen once you come out of the water.
What is dry or delayed drowning, and how can we prevent it?
So there have been several news incidents in the past year that have pertained to dry drowning. According to the American College of Emergency Physicians, the Center for Disease Control, the World Health Organization, this is a term that really should not be used because there's really no such thing as dry drowning. Now, if a child goes swimming, they could have delayed symptoms from, say, water ingestion. So, for example, they could develop a pneumonia or similar, symptoms. In that case, it will be wise to seek emergency medical attention, but dry drowning per se, those organizations are discouraging the use of that term.
What are some things to be aware of when participating in water sports this summer?
So with the extremes in temperature, water sports are a very attractive option to keep cool during the summer. One thing we need to remember, though, is the episode of drowning, which is pretty common and a pretty serious public health issue. So about 4,000 people die from drowning incidents per year. That's approximately 10 people a day dying from drowning incidents. Children ages 1 to 4, drowning is the second most common cause of unintentional injury in this age group. So this is really an area that we need to pay attention to. Some things to do to stay safe while engaging in water activities include, number one, learning how to swim if you do not know how to swim, because that is actually a life skill. And it's really important to know how to swim just in case, there's ever any event where you need to be close to the water or in the water. Another good skill to have is CPR skills, because you could save a life if there's any episode of drowning or dangerous water sports. Other things to think of when you're planning to participate in water activities include no alcohol use while in the water, because alcohol affects your coordination, it affects your judgment, and it can be intensified with the heat. So staying away from alcohol when engaging in any water sports is important. Other things include using sunscreen when participating in water activities. Also, make sure you're not using any of the floating devices that are used in pools as swimming aids, because these are not designed to function like that. For those with pools, it's a good idea to have a fence around the pool. That's to prevent anybody going into the pool that should not be there. Parents of small children, eyes have to be kept on the children at all times whenever they are participating in water sports. Using good judgments, staying away from alcohol, and being safe in the water will help to make these activities enjoyable and fun. Also, in regards to boating, make sure life vests are used. Even if you're a swimmer, make sure you use life vests whenever you're on a boat in the water. So these are some of the recommendations for staying safe during the summer.
Are there any kind of poisonous plants or insects in our area to be aware of?
So in terms of plants, leaves of 3, let it be. So poison ivy is one of the poisonous plants in our region, as well as poison oak. These plants, they have a substance that when secreted, it can touch the skin and cause an allergic reaction, a contact dermatitis. Symptoms include redness, itching, swelling, and pain. So again, to protect yourself from these plants, make sure you wear long sleeves that are cool, and stay away from any plants that have 3 leaves so you don't have any problems with that. Now again, if you have any contact with these plants, you want to make sure you wash the area with soap and water. If it's done within 15 minutes, then you're going to have less of, side effects from being exposed to those plants. So just be careful out there.
Are there any insects that are poisonous in our area to be aware of?
So the 2 poisonous insects in our area include the brown recluse spider and the black widow. Now the black widow spider usually hangs out at night in dark cupboards and around piles of wood. It can be recognized because there's a red dot on its underbelly. The bite can be very painful and can almost cause a neurological reaction, in that it can cause severe muscle spasms and pain. So if you think you've been bitten by a brown recluse, make sure you tie a tourniquet above the site of the bite. If it's on the arms or legs, apply ice to the bite, and then seek emergency medical attention, because treatment for that bite is an antivenom. In terms of the brown recluse spider, it's a big brown spider. It's in the shape of a fiddle. So if you're ever bitten by that, the same treatment applies. Apply a tourniquet above the site of the bite. If it's on the arms or legs, apply ice to the region, and then seek medical attention. Usually the treatment for that is steroids. Ways to improve or prevent spider bites include staying away from piles of rubble or lumber, making sure you spray for these insects on a yearly basis to prevent their propagation.